Annessa.
And I'm Tim. We're here at my firehouse kitchen.
And today we are taking you on a journey of health. And in this episode, we're talking about nourishing our most important possession.
My PlayStation 3. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm totally joking. Right?
Yeah. Our children, which
Yes.
Tim has two adorable ones.
Yes, two little girls.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about nourishing them. And you guys, you don't have to look very far to see that our children are struggling when it comes to health. They're fighting obesity. They have, some of them are fighting high cholesterol, depression, diseases
that used to be thought for overweight, older
adults.
People. Adults,
yeah,
yes, exactly.
Not kids. And you know what? I don't think you have to look very far to see why this is happening. Go into any restaurant, check out the kids menu, and what do you find?
Grilled cheese coated with butter, deep fried, chicken fingers, also deep fried,
pizza,
French fries,
pancakes, yes. Foods that don't offer a lot of nutrition and are void of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals that we find in fruits and veggies and things that they need. The other place you can go, and my favorite place to go to see what's happening with some of our kids, is to the cereal aisle and snack aisle at the grocery store. I don't know about you guys, but as I'm walking down, I feel like the boxes are screaming at me, wanting me to buy them. If you can take a look at any regular cereal box, and you can tell that health speaks, because they boast about being high in fiber, being immune fighting.
And bright colors with little cartoon characters telling you that.
Creepy cartoon characters. Yeah, the sneaky people that put together the cereal aisle. All the sugary cereals with bright colors and creepy characters are where?
Right at eye level with
for your kiddos. Yeah, and then the high fiber pencil shaving cereals are where?
Right out of reach.
Up high where nobody can get to them.
And a plain color.
And a plain color, yes. They don't really speak to their kids the way these other ones do. Some of these, if you guys take a look at these cereals, a lot of them are 50% sugar, or sugar is the first ingredient. So they are not, one of my rules is eat close to the farm, especially for our kids, because they need, especially as kids, foods that are high-packed with nutrition and protein. Something one trick that always works, instead of paying attention to anything on the front of the box, take a look at what I call your source of truth, and that's the ingredients list. Not even the label itself. You want to go all the way to the ingredients list. That is going to tell you exactly what you're getting in your body and what you're putting in your kid's body. What's the first ingredient on that one?
Sugar on this one.
Sugar on this one. Yeah. And you can see how many teaspoons of sugar are in some of these products, or products that have the name fruit in them, and our kids mistakenly think that they're what?
Yeah, they think they're fruit.
That they're actually getting fruit. Yeah, so much better to eat the fruit and leave these kind of products alone. Well, some tips and tricks for those of us that are trying to get our kids healthy is to first be a good example yourself, because kids will do what they see. So make this journey with them. The second thing you can do is teach your kids about food. Teach them where it comes from, and most importantly, get in the kitchen and cook with them. So we've got some recipes today that you can do that with, and our recipes are gonna be easy. So if you're making this first initial change, they've got some hidden nutrition in them, so your kids, they don't even taste different. Your kids won't even know that they are getting in good things that are gonna nourish their bodies. So today we're making eggs with legs, we're making monkey muffins, we're making cheese-delicious chicken enchiladas, and banana ice cream. So I'm excited.
All right, let's get rolling.
Let's get cooking. The first recipe you're making with us is called eggs with legs. Now, one of the things when you're cooking with kids that's important to remember is to call the recipe a funky name, and they're just gonna like it more. So this recipe I call eggs with legs because it's like taking your eggs on the go. Tim and I were just talking about how eggs are one of the best things you can eat for breakfast, and you eat them almost every day.
Yeah, I eat egg whites almost every day. And I know it doesn't matter whether you have the yolks or not. I like maybe a yolk or two in mine with egg whites, especially training for, I was training for a marathon. This was a great breakfast to give me a little more go before I went out and ran, 15 miles. And also wrestling, growing up wrestling, it was something that was low enough calories, but gave me energy throughout the day for practice when I was,
So do you scramble them, bake them?
I would scramble them most of the time.
You scramble them,
I scramble them, yeah.
Well, I know as parents, since we're both parents now, and we know that your time is limited, and most parents are not going to get up and make their kids scrambled eggs in the morning. That's why things that are convenient like cereals are so much easier to do. This recipe takes less than the amount of time it takes to pour a bowl of cereal or pop a Pop-Tart in the toaster toaster. It takes 1 minute to make in the microwave. So it's so easy and so quick and gonna be so good for your kids. So all you wanna do is take a ramekin. You don't need a ramekin though. Don't go out and buy a ramekin for this recipe. You can use a mug that you can put in the microwave just as easy. So you want to spray it with nonstick cooking spray, and then Tim, I'm going to have you scramble up an egg and an egg white for each of us, okay? So I love using the yolks because there are a lot of healthy properties about the yolks themselves. They're packed with nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and even a little protein. And you can go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I always start with my egg white first because if my yolk slips in, I got a second chance to get it out.
That's a good idea.
So I always start with my egg white first. That's just how I do it because sometimes I slip. Now for me...
don't get any shells in there.
I know. And the brown, it's nice. I can see if I do get shell in there. But for my egg whites, that's kind of how I do it. I kind of just catch my yolk and
So no need for an egg separator.
No need for an egg separator. For me, that'd be a waste. And
I know. I don't like things that only do one function in the kitchen.
So I'm there, and now I can get rid of it. And then the second one, now if I would have slipped, I had a second chance to keep my egg white.
You didn't go to college for nothing, did you?
Exactly, that's right. And now.
Awesome. So you're gonna whisk those up with just a fork. Don't need anything special here.
No, I actually like a fork better than a whisk, personally.
Okay, yeah.
But that's just.
Pretty easy. Yep. So what do you want in yours?
I will go with, I like everything that's up there, personally.
Okay, cool.
I love the peppers.
Okay, so here's what you do. For your kids, I would recommend ham and cheese because those are really kid-friendly ingredients. And the great thing is, they don't need to be pre-cooked. You can get ham, little mini cubed ham that's already been cubed up, or you can take deli slices.
I always use...
Do you use that?
I used turkey, like I said, for... when I was cutting weight for wrestling and stuff, I would use...
just deli turkey?
Just deli turkey. I'd shred it up and throw it in there with a little bit of cheese, an egg, and yeah, we're good to go.
Cool. Okay, so all of that goes in one, and then you're going to do a second one. Yeah. And I'm going to stir this up just a little bit. So you put your ingredients in that you want. So this, I mean, if you have several kids, you can just line up mugs, let them fill the one themselves, and then you just whisk the egg real fast. In fact, you can even whisk it in the little mug that you're making it in, and then you microwave it for a minute and a half. It depends on the kind of microwave you have and what ingredients you put in. If you just use an egg itself, it takes about a minute, but as you add things, it's going to take a little bit longer. So maybe start out with a minute and then add 10 seconds to see how long it's going to take. Now, you could pour it after it's been heated in the microwave. You could put it on a plate, or you can just wrap a little towel around this and take it in the car with you, or take it in the car while you're taking your kids to school. It's that simple, and that way you get your eggs with legs on the go. So you're going to take these back and put them in the microwave for us?
All right. And now something else I always do after I do crack the eggs, because of the raw egg, I make sure I wash my hands before it's cooked, or after it's cooked. I make sure I don't grab it with the same hand that has all the raw egg on it. So
it's a good idea. And just so you know, I did wash my hands before I put the ingredients in. Awesome, look at those. Yep. Isn't that cool how easily, it's like a mini omelet in a ramekin. And you guys, don't forget that eggs are the perfect protein. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, Tim, but in nutrition, we compare every other protein to that of an egg because they represent the perfect standard. So, point being, if you and your kids eat something like eggs for breakfast, you're gonna feel better for the rest of your day. If we feed our kids junk and sugar in the morning, don't be surprised if
they crash.
Yeah, they crash, or they're in a bad mood, or they're throwing fits by lunchtime. Isn't this good? Do you like it?
It is good. Yes, it's excellent. I add a lot of times. I see we got all kinds of ingredients here. One of the other things I add is I do tomatoes to mine just for the. I know a lot of high in antioxidants, promotes healthy, for prostate.
Yes.
It's good for prostate cancer, and so that's one of the things we add. And we do a lot of these at home. And Vera, when we've gotten to the point now, when we go to a breakfast place, I mean, she really, if we get her a pancake, she really doesn't eat it. Most of the time, we've now just ordered an omelet. The one thing we have to do is normally we put hers in front of Teresa for a second because she always wants what Teresa's eating. And then,
that's a good trick.
Yeah, and then we put Teresa's in front of her, and she
pretend like you're eating it as a parent, and then they want it.
And then she wants hers instead. So.
Oh, good idea. All right, so this is all you need: a couple eggs, a little bit of cooking spray. Any ingredients that you want to throw in, whether it's green onions, tomatoes, bell peppers, ham, cheese, whatever you can dream up, you can throw into here.
And I like to make sure we use the cooking spray. I work with a lot of guys that would rather use butter to keep this from being greasy, but
we gotta work on them.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. All right, next up is monkey muffins. It's coming your way. One of the things I've learned as a parent is that it's monkey see, monkey do. Have you found it to be the same thing?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, like no matter what you teach your kids, they're gonna do what they mimic you. It's like a mini me walking around. It's kind of funny. So that goes hand in hand with our recipe right now because these are monkey muffins, and I actually call muffins an excuse for cake in the morning. Yeah. Because they are, and most muffins are like 500 calories and 20 grams of fat.
Vera still thinks they're cupcakes. So.
They
she calls them cupcakes. She doesn't know the difference between the muffins.
Minus the icing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, these, Tim, are going to be packed full with lots of fiber because we're using whole wheat flour, we're using oats, we're using 4 whole bananas. So I'm excited about these because I think all of your kids are going to love them. My little girl just eats them up, and you can keep them in your freezer so they can make a quick, easy breakfast for your kids before they go off to school, or for you, or a snack. Okay, so what we want to start with is a 1/2 cup of honey. And there's no sugar in this recipe but honey. And I don't know if you knew this, honey has a lot of medicinal effects. Did you know that?
Well, I knew Native Americans used it for a lot of things, but
Yeah, back in early wars, they would put it on wounds because it draws out the moisture, so it keeps bacteria. It would keep the wound clean. Isn't that cool?
No kidding. I did not know that.
Not like you'd use it for that today, but you could if there was nothing else around. Okay, and what I like about this recipe too is that it uses honey instead of any sugar, which is refined or high fructose corn syrup that you find in a lot of your kids' products, which is processed in a different way. It almost goes directly into the body and shoots up the blood sugar, and then they come crashing down. So instead we're going to use a little honey, and you could use less. In fact, the riper your bananas are, the sweeter they are. So you could kind of tailor your honey to that. So a 1/2 cup of that, and to keep your measuring cup from getting so sticky, you could spray it with some light cooking spray and then put the honey in so it doesn't.
I know because a lot of times, bananas may start to go bad before you finish. We always freeze them and save them for breads and muffins. Teresa does. We always, as soon as they're starting to go, instead of throwing them out and wasting that, stick them right in the freezer. And she pulls them out, and for all of, we'll always have several bananas frozen in there.
And uses them for any kind of recipe?
Different muffins or breads that she'll use them for.
Oh yeah, one of the things that's most important when you are cooking with your kids is to use bright colors. Like I gave you the green bowl because I figured you didn't want pink, but I did bring you a really cool, fun and funky apron.
Nice, yes.
So you're man enough to wear lemons, is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
I can wear them.
And I've got a pink one, and this just kind of shows, your kids aren't going to think healthy food is fun if you don't make it cool. So you've got to make it cool and fun, and most importantly, cook with them. This is a perfect recipe to do with your kids. The number one thing you have to remember, though, is to be patient. But let them stand on a chair carefully with you and take their little hand and let them stir things. Let them measure. This involves reading and math and lots of other things when you're doing a recipe. So I added 5 tablespoons of light vanilla yogurt to this bowl, and then going to add an egg. And when you do muffins, you want to do your liquids separate from the dry ingredients. And so you just kind of stir this together. You can use beaters if you want. In fact, I'm going to switch to a whisk for a minute. Could you put a teaspoon of vanilla in here for me? Yeah. So just kind of pop the yolk with your whisk and then whisk it all around. And then the other ingredient, and if you notice, I'm not using any kind of butter, oil, or anything. I used the vanilla yogurt in place of that. And so then you want 4 mashed ripe bananas. Now these, you see they're freckled bananas, but when I made this recipe the first time, they can be black. And almost the blacker they are, the better. It's weird.
That's what, like I said, most of ours are, when they've gone really brown, we just stick them in the freezer and use them for a later day. Yeah.
Cool. And this was one of our budget power foods. Bananas are always in season. They're always really inexpensive. In fact, you know what I call them is nature's power bars because they're like the perfect, yeah. So Tim is gonna, while I'm mushing up these bananas, and you could actually put them in a Ziploc bag and have your kids smash them just with their little fingers, or you can just put them in there and smash them. But I'm gonna have you do the dry ingredients, which starts with a cup of whole wheat flour, and then you're gonna add a teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, and a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then a 1/2 cup of oats.
All right. Yeah, I know too, when we're cooking or making the eggs and Vera's helping, especially now with the little one around, you know, she feels a little more left out, a little jealous possibly of Amelia, our newest addition here. She gets a little jealous of her, and that way it's something she's still doing with Teresa.
Yeah, makes her feel special.
Yeah, and then also she's, you know, to that point where she's really proud if she does something in like a little preschool, like a drawing she likes to show you, and it's the same if we're making something. She's really into showing me that she made it. Whether it's she put the fork in for a second and helped Teresa stir, in her mind she's
it doesn't have to be a big deal.
Yeah, she's been a huge help, and she's really proud of that at this point. Yeah, it's funny.
That's awesome. Kids want to eat what they help create, whether it's a mud pie or a real recipe.
And you know, I grew up, my mom was a big health nut, really even before, I mean, it started with her dad. Used to eat yogurt and wheat germ before people, I mean, we're talking in the 20s and 30s, before really people ate healthy. And so it just became natural for her, and growing up, I mean, we just ate, she ate, you know, healthy, and we ate healthy, and it's really carried over between me, my brother, and my sister. Just kind of became habit for us.
Cool. You know, when talking to people, I call it our parent tapes, because unless we actively work hard at changing our habits from when we were little, we just kind of redo what our parents did because it's what's ingrained in your head. Like most of us, our parents told us what? Well, maybe not yours, but eat everything on your plate because why? Because they're starving kids and fill in the country.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And so no, we don't need to consume all that. It's a good practice to not make your kids eat everything on their plate, but teach them self-control, that when you're full, it's okay. You can put it in the fridge and save it for later. Half cup of this guy. And I have a funny story about this. So my 2-year-old daughter, Nai is what I call her, was cooking with me, and she's at the point where she likes to use her own little spoon, and she was taking it and feeding me, and then taking it and feeding somebody else. And then I see her turn to the Quaker box and put it on, and she was feeding Mr. Quaker. Oh, I looked at the front and I was like, how cute is that? You know, it's like when they're at this little innocent stage, it's just, I love it.
So I got these all whisked here. Good. All the dry ingredients ready to go.
All right, and with a muffin mix like this, all you want to do is stir it just until everything's moist. So don't over stir. That's an important point. And I'm going to have you chop those walnuts. In fact, you guys remember walnuts. Let me find a brain in here. You can remember, I think we said this before, they're good for your brain because they look like a brain. So these are going to be filled with healthy fats for your little kiddos' noggins. All right, now one of my favorite things, actually, let me first tell you that when I make this recipe, I always think as I'm stirring it, this looks soupy, but just give it like a couple seconds and the fiber power in the whole wheat flour and the oats just absorbs all the liquid. So that's one of the cool things, because this muffin recipe would make a great after school snack. A lot of kids come home and parents are still at work and they're by themselves, and so they're left to eat chips, maybe Little Debbie's, maybe other stuff, Oreos, stuff that we have around that's not good for them. But if you had this kind of thing on hand, they could pop it out of the freezer. And the thing about this is it's filled with fiber and protein. And whenever I think of snacks, those are the two things I look to put together to make sure is in a snack, and that's fiber and protein. This has got both of them, so it's going to be a perfect option. So see how that just kind of like, it absorbed all the liquid, and now it looks like a regular muffin batter. Okay, so we want to dump those nuts in, and we'll just fold them in, and then we'll get these into a cookie tin.
All right.
A cookie tin. Not a cookie tin. I can't believe I just said that. A muffin tin.
All right, you set?
Stay away from those cookies. Okay, yep.
And you know, if you don't have a muffin tin, you could always do it in a pan. I mean, make it like a bread or a...
Yeah, you could.
I mean, just in case, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to have to go out and buy anything special. All right. Then we give our muffin tin a spray.
And you know, I know at my house, like I said, I have all three girls here that I'm cooking with. But growing up, in my mom's family, she had 3 sisters and a brother, the oldest being my Uncle Rocky. And to me, there was no manlier person in the world than my Uncle Rocky. I mean, Rocco Francisco Agostino. And
that was his name?
Yeah, and I mean, he was...
Did you guys call him Rocco Francisco?
I called him, I mean, he was Rocky, Uncle Rocky. I mean, and he really lived up to a name. Rock. I mean, he was kind of a rock of our family.
That's awesome.
And you know, growing up, I mean, he did all the cooking.
Did he really?
He did all the cooking. And like I said, I mean, he looked like he was somebody straight out of The Godfather.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, he really did. I mean, you would have thought that
Tim, do you have something to tell us?
No, they would have cast him in it for sure. And now these compared to, say, one we're going to buy in a store are going to be a lot better. I mean, we know what the ingredients we know the ingredients we've put in.
Yes.
I mean, we see our ingredients, and if we go and look at the a store-bought brand muffin, when you look at the side, the ingredients are going to be long.
This long. And how many do you recognize?
Yeah, you're not. You know, most of those are going to be a lot of it's for preservatives and additives and sweeteners, and
which our kids are especially sensitive to. They're finding they really are. And even oats too.
And our oats. And if you look at the side of our oats label here, the ingredients in these oats. Ingredients: 100% natural whole grain oats, rolled oats. That's it.
That's it.
Now, like the instant breakfast ones that you may get are still better than maybe something else you could have, but a lot of those are going to have your sugars and additives.
Yes, and they're more expensive.
Yeah, way more.
That's one of our budget power foods, and it's so versatile.
Yeah, all of this, and they make just as easy.
Yeah.
You can add a little bit of, you were saying earlier, pumpkin spice in it.
Yeah, canned pumpkin, and then pumpkin spice, and maybe some warm milk or soy milk or whatever you want to use, and heat that up. Oh, it's so good. There's so many. I use it for healthy casseroles. I use them for I make my own pancakes. That we'll have to do that recipe sometime.
I do oats and pancakes. I like that too. I like just the grittiness. I put wheat germ in my pancakes if I'm making them whole grain with wheat germ. But to me, I like the gritty in it. So
awesome.
It's a texture thing.
Well, so I filled these about 3/4 of the way full, and so this makes about 12 muffins, or you could make a ton of mini muffins. That would be another good thing to do. So pop them in the oven at 350 degrees for almost exactly 20 minutes, and then they'll be done. Let them cool. You can put them in the freezer or eat them right away. Okay, so this is what they look like when they're done. They're going to be toasty on top and kind of spring back to the touch. You could also put a toothpick, or as Tim was saying,
I always use a raw piece of spaghetti.
Guess it's the Italian thing, but yeah, you could use a spaghetti too. So if batter comes out, then it's not done. And then you can eat it afterwards.
Yeah, crunch through it.
Okay, so these are just warm enough that we can pull them out and see, because we use that cooking spray, they come out really easily, kind of hot. And if you notice, there's some that I pre-made up here, and look at these. These might be a little bit sweeter than the ones we just made because my bananas were super duper ripe. They were black, and that will make them really yummy and moist. But these will be just as good as well. Okay, let's give them a try. What do you think?
That sounds good.
And I know, as far as snacks go, we did a whole episode on power snacks, so you can check that out at survivalsecrets.net, because those will be really good snacks for you and your kids too. This is really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, why don't we get over and get started on our kid-approved dinner? All right.
And our kid-friendly dinner is called Cheese-alicious Chicken Enchiladas. And for this, you want to start off with 4 cooked chicken breasts. Now, you could bake those, you could boil them in water, however you could grill them, however you want to cook them is fine. And then, as you can see, Tim is shredding them up with 2 forks. And we were talking about how
Yeah, I like the consistency of it being shredded better. Now it's a lot simpler. You can just take a knife and chop them up.
Yeah.
But to me, it kind
of does taste different. But that's the thing, is kids know texture.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can get put off by the slightest of texture, can't they?
Yeah, as a kid, that was a big thing for me. I mean, a lot of foods I didn't like that I love now is the texture that actually got me.
Yeah, that brings up a point. When I was a kid, my dad especially brought personalities to foods. Like, I didn't like to eat peas or little grape tomatoes because of how they would pop in my mouth. But so I'd scurry them all over to the side of my plate, and Dad would look at me at the end of dinner and he'd go, "Look at those little peas." He called me Annie, and he said, "Annie, they were all excited to come out and get in your tummy and have a party and be eaten by you, and they're all over there crying together." I felt so bad I would eat the entire thing of peas. And I love peas to this day, so it works. So maybe give your foods a personality and your kids will start to love them. So what we're gonna do is build the filling for these enchiladas while Tim is shredding that chicken for us. All right, so it starts off with about 4 ounces of diced green chilies. You can add half this if you don't like. I'm a wimp when it comes to heat. I think I've told you guys, big red gum is too hot for me. But this is actually pretty mild if you use a full 4-ounce can of chopped green chilies. So just as easy as opening it and throwing it in there. And then we want just a little can of condensed, low-fat, healthy cream of chicken soup. And that will make it really flavorful. So a full can of that. And then instead of using sour cream in this recipe, which by the way, this recipe has many hidden nutrition factors. So if you need to send those kids away from you for just a minute while you watch this recipe, so when you make it, they'll love it. They won't know what kind of secret healthy ingredients are in it. You can do that. All right, so instead of using sour cream, I would highly suggest that you completely rid your kitchen of that and instead use either Greek yogurt or plain yogurt, because they both kind of have a double personality, is what I like to call, that you could use yogurt instead of using sour cream. I use the Greek yogurt for a ton of stuff at our house. I really do. The Greek yogurt and plain yogurt. For me, it was good because I was never a huge sour cream fan to begin with. Okay. And which I was just fortunate, I guess, in that fact. But I do use it. I use it, I think I've said this before, chicken salad. I make all my chicken salad out of the plain Greek yogurt. So. Yeah, it's so good. And this is my favorite brand. It just is. I think it's by far the best brand. And I use the 0%, which means it's 0% fat. But in 1 cup, there's 20 grams of protein. Yeah, that's unbelievable. And only thick and creamy and 120 calories and 20 grams of protein is unbelievable. It is. It is really good. And be a big calcium boost for our little kiddos too. And then you're going to add about 2 cups of reduced fat shredded cheddar cheese. Now you're going to note, sometimes we shy away from things, and you have to be careful with labels, because sometimes when it says reduced fat, that means they've added more sugar. So it's kind of a trade-off. But in this, all they've done is it's like getting it from 2% milk instead of whole milk. And the cheese is going to taste exactly the same, especially when it's in a recipe like this. Okay, so we get that in there, and then Tim, I'm going to have you add all of our shredded chicken to this. All right. And I kept these pretty simple, just for the purpose of showing you how easy this recipe is. But you know what you could do to take it even a step further nutritionally is you could shred up like a yellow squash. Just use a grater and shred it up and add it into here, which would be a whole nother layer of hidden nutrition into this recipe. One of the things we were just talking about is how for kids, it's important to keep it the same color. So in other words, frozen spinach is something, or regular spinach is something that's easy to hide into recipes, but you wouldn't want to do that in this because your kids would see it, know it was green, and might not eat it because of that. But you could add frozen spinach into like your spaghetti meat. You could hide it in there, but for this, I would stick with something more on the white to yellow side. Keep it the same color. Okay. Ready to start over here? I am ready. So I was telling Tim that this super secret healthy recipe, here's the topping for the enchiladas, okay? So we're gonna put them in tortillas, which I'm gonna show you guys in a second. But for the topping, instead of using anything else, I'm using a can of Great Northern beans, and you're gonna put that into the blender. I know it looks weird, but you can blend beans down and they're creamy and delicious. And then he's gonna add to that a cup of plain yogurt. You could use plain Greek. You can equally switch these out and taste the same. This is just a little bit less creamy than the Greek yogurt. And I drained those beans before we did put those in there. Drain and rinse them? Yeah, drain and rinse those before we put them in, just so. So yeah, a full cup of that, and we're gonna, it might be kind of hard, you might have to, like work at it to get it to blend. You could even add a splash of milk or water if you needed it to blend down. And then we're gonna add another cup of the reduced fat shredded cheese. And we're just gonna mix it in the blender so we don't have to dirty up another bowl. And we'll spread that all over our chicken enchiladas, and they're gonna be delicious. Perfecto, awesome. Okay, so what you're gonna do is take a good sized baking dish, and you might even need a little bit more because this makes a lot. Spray it with our good old nonstick cooking spray, and then you're gonna start to fill tortillas. Now I like to use the whole wheat ones. There's several different brands that are really good on the market there. Here's a couple of my favorites. I've got a few to show you guys. One of my favorites is called Flat Outs. And these are actually pretty big, but they as you can see, they're made with whole grain, also made with flax. So they're going to be high in omega-3s, which we already talked about is really good for us, and also high in fiber. And they also have ones that are lower carb, higher fiber. I love these because these are the perfect kid size. They're 3 grams of fiber and only 70 calories.
I've used those and made, well, I put a peanut butter and just a little bit of jelly, or
that recipe's on the front of the package right here. Yeah.
I roll it up. I didn't even see it was on the front of the package. I thought it was mine. Dang, no, but I roll it up and yeah.
Yeah, that's a good, that's a perfect kind of snack size. And then another one of my favorites are Tomorrow's or Whole Foods brand. So look for those. And it's funny, when you're looking for tortillas, they're kind of in inconspicuous places. Like typically they're in the produce section and they're in their own little kiosk, and you just kind of have to turn the aisle and there they are. So kind of keep your eye out for those, because you'll miss them.
And I feel like I have to search for them every time. I forget where I found them the time before.
I do too.
And I do 2 or 3 aisles before I...
Yeah, in each grocery they're kind of frustrating. So we will scoop about 1/3 of a cup in there and then kind of roll them up. You know how to make enchiladas. All right, well, while he's doing that, and before I move on, I want to tell you guys that this recipe has been approved by so many people that had no idea that there was yogurt and beans in it. In fact, one of my good friends, man, all she eats is chicken fingers and ice cream. And I'm really working hard on the girl to switch her over to some healthy stuff, because she's not going to live long on the chicken fingers and ice cream. But anyway, she tried these and she asked, every time she comes over, she asks if I'll make this recipe because it's her favorite chicken enchiladas. And she doesn't know to this day that there's yogurt and beans in it, because if she found out, guess what would happen? She wouldn't like them.
Then she would, then all of a sudden they don't like it.
Same thing, yeah. So a good way to make almost any veggie tasty is to roast it. And something that's important for our kiddos is to, just like we talked about using fun colors of apron or measuring cups, get them their own little set of colorful measuring cups from the dollar store. But something else important to do is to keep it in kid-friendly shapes, like sticks or circles. Those are 2 things. Kids love dippable things, think fries. So any kind of, especially the vegetables like the yellow squash I have here, zucchini. I make butternut squash fries. I know we before made our toasty fries and fire fries. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do. And then we want to think about roasting them. Also keep to kid-friendly spices. Can't get too weird with the spices on our little kids, because then their palates, I think, just aren't ready for that yet until we get them there. So I like to put a mixture of just like seasoning salt, or maybe a little bit of garlic salt or fresh garlic, and then some Parmesan cheese. So we will just kind of put that in a plate here, and then what we're going to do is cut our yellow squash into sticks, and then just kind of toss them in this, and then we'll put it on a baking sheet and roast it, so it'll just kind of make some yummy veggies for the kids. Now remember, when you're cutting these too, to cut your vegetables into workable parts, just like I did. Let me show you this one. So give them kind of legs to stand on. You can cut off the end, and then we'll just cut, like we've said before, sheet sticks cubes. That's what you want to think, but we'll stop at sticks because we're making fry shapes. All right, so Tim, if you would hand me the topping to these Cheese-alicious chicken enchiladas, and remember there's yogurt, beans, and low-fat cheese in here. So what you're gonna do is just spread it all over. And actually, our recipe makes even more. It like makes a casserole dish and a half. So I'm gonna save some of this because we could have enough for more. So this is gonna bake down over it. You're gonna bake it at 350 for about 30 minutes. You want it to get really toasty and bubbly. And then the other thing I like to do is take some green onions for some color, because this is all pretty white. We kept it colorless for our kids, even though it's healthy. Okay, so I like to take some green onions, just a few. And you notice I have them in a little cup of water right here. You can actually, did you know this? You can keep them in your kitchen in a cup of water and grow them. Like, as long as they have the roots on them, set them by the sunlight and they'll just kind of continue to grow. So you can, even throughout the winter, you can just kind of have your green onions and you don't have to keep going and buying them from the store. So I'm going to chop up some of these, and I like to use the ends, the green part. Okay. And just put a little bit on these, and Tim is going to show us another really cool thing you can do.
Yeah, we were looking at this, and kids love quesadillas, you know, and so another option you can do with this is our same ingredients here. And I mean, really, it's
just a wrap.
Yeah, just a wrap. It's not much different than what we did here, except instead of rolling it up and baking it, we're just gonna spread it out on this one, our first wrap here.
I think one reason why kids like quesadillas is because they're cut. They're
exactly,
like
kind of like little triangles,
you know?
like pizza.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna put our other on top. And then you can either, you know, a couple options. You can just bake these in the oven, which we can bake these right here.
Right along our squash sticks.
Yeah. Or you could even, for a quick one, if you want, just quick, throw it on here, throw it in the microwave for, you know, a short time, and it's cooked. Maybe sprinkle a little more.
Yeah, because the chicken's already cooked, so.
Cheese on it, and yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right, so this will go into the oven at 350, and we can go ahead and put that in there too. So when you roast things, make sure they're in a single layer, and you could even put it on 400 until these get toasty and blistery. So we'll put this all in, and then we'll have a really yummy, kid-friendly, and healthy dinner. Our dessert we call banana ice cream. Now, I'm really excited about this recipe because when you as we make this, you're gonna be like, huh, are they sure? When you make it at home and you taste it, you're gonna fall in love. And Tim hasn't even tasted it yet, so this is gonna be a first for you.
Yeah, no surprise.
So banana ice cream. So instead of ice cream for dessert, which we all know isn't good for us, we are gonna make banana ice cream in the blender. You don't have to get an ice cream maker or anything like that. When you slightly blend frozen bananas, they become the exact texture of ice cream. They're so delicious. And we're gonna make ours chocolate. So you wanna freeze bananas at the exact ripeness you like it. Now you mentioned that you guys freeze bananas. You probably do it when they're riper.
Yeah, when they're starting to go and you're gonna.
Yeah, because when they're on their way out, you use them for banana breads or for the monkey muffins that we made. You want them almost black. For this one though, you do not want them black. You want them at the exact ripeness that you like them. So we'll just do one at a time here. And you want to take your frozen banana and just kind of cut it up into chunks so it's easier for your blender. Okay, so if you want to open that, we're just going to throw this little guy in there. Okay, now you're going to add 2 teaspoons, if you want to throw that in, Tim, of, I usually like to use almond butter because it just gives it a certain flavor and consistency. But if you don't have that around, you can use peanut butter. So about 2 teaspoons of peanut butter, and then 2 teaspoons, if you want to measure that, of just natural unsweetened cocoa powder. So this stuff, there's no sugar in it, there's no fat in it. It is just the cocoa powder, which actually has a lot of good antioxidants in it. So 2 teaspoons of that. And what we're gonna add, the final ingredient, so this is just 4 ingredients, is a little bit of unsweetened vanilla almond breeze, which is almond milk. I know, we're introducing something weird here. Have you tried this stuff?
Yeah, my mother-in-law goes with lactose-free stuff, so she'll do the almond milk or soy. Yeah,
those of us that go lactose intolerant or need lactose intolerant probably have tried this or soy milk. This stuff, the unsweetened vanilla almond breeze, is delicious. I use it, oh, it's so good in several recipes. But for this one, I like to partially freeze it because you want this as cold as you can get it. So we're just gonna add in just a little bit. In fact, will you hand me that spoon over there? I'm gonna try and get out some of the ice crystals. So it's kind of slushy. And so you just kind of add as you need it. Maybe like 1/3 of a cup. It depends on how big your banana was. So what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna have Tim do this, is put the top on the blender and then you just pulse it. So that doesn't mean just turn it on. That means just pulse it. Okay, are you good with this?
Yeah.
Can you do this?
Just a quick?
Yeah. Just pulse it a few times until you see the banana start to spin down and it will become ice cream-like. So go with it. Okay, perfect. When you see it at this consistency.
Oh. Struggling with the lid.
This consistency right here, that's exactly where you want it. So I'm gonna let you try this. And also at the end, sometimes depending on how sweet your banana was or wasn't, you might need a little bit of a sweetener. So you could use whichever one of choice, whether it be Splenda. I personally like stevia, Truvia, Ideal. There's so many on the market now. So, okay, Tim, dig in. Tell me what you think.
All right.
Once again, I served this to a buddy. Several buddies came over. Doesn't it taste just like ice cream?
Yeah, it really does.
It's like a magic trick. I mean, it tastes just like ice cream.
That's good.
And they had no idea that it wasn't ice cream.
No.
I told them later, and they were like, "Oh, that was good." They didn't care. Okay. Oh, love it. I call it banana entice cream because it's not really ice cream. It's my own little silly word. All right. So So coming up, we're gonna try our cheese-delicious chicken enchiladas. They're coming out of the oven. Those look and smell awesome. Awesome, awesome. I can't wait to dig in. So there's your quesadilla, huh?
Yeah.
Turned out really good. Okay, so here are our cheese-delicious chicken enchiladas that are filled with healthy ingredients that your kids are never gonna know. There you go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Man, these are hot.
Yes.
They look good. And man, cooking with your kid is, I mean, as we were saying, is such a good time to teach them math, reading, following directions, finishing a recipe, but also like portion sizes.
Yeah,
like get out those measuring cups as I plopped the humongous enchilada on my plate. Yeah, showing them exactly, you know, they would have fun with that, how to measure food and how much you should be getting versus sometimes how much you do.
And just something they're going to carry through as they become adults. And yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the things that I do every day, at least health-wise, is something I learned from my mom. Definitely.
About the parents.
Yes.
Yep. And remember to go to our website, which is survivalsecrets.net, because there we have all the other episodes we've done, all the recipes, and more. I think we put even more on there. Also, Tim you've got all your fitness tips that you did, several of those. I've got some nutrition science facts, so lots of good things you can get there. And everybody enjoy cooking with your kids, some healthy, cool recipes.
I know I have, so.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Everybody have a great day. Cheers to your health.
Hey guys, just some more health and fitness tips you can do at home. I'm going to talk about core and abs. We're going to do some crunches and some different variations in that. Now for a crunch, you've seen them all I'm sure before. I'm just going to show you some details when you do a crunch. A lot of times you'll see somebody do crunches and they're pulling, and look where my chin is. You don't want your chin pulling against your chest and putting too much stress on your neck. You can have your hands behind your back or behind your head or on your chest, but the key is to almost pretend there's an apple on my neck. My face is always going to be facing the ceiling. So when I'm crunching up, I'm crunching my abs, and my neck is staying. I'm staying parallel looking at the ceiling. So that focus is on my stomach. The squeeze is here. Notice I'm not squeezing my neck at all. And some different, just even variations, just by moving my legs here. I can hit some different places, moving them over here, laying them flat, just changing the place of my hands, but the motion is going to be the same. Another great core workout that you may see at places is called a plank. And what we're going to do is literally, I'm going to start with my elbows at a 90 and my feet off the ground. And I'm literally going to keep my body straight, and I'm just going to hold this. And this is called a plank. And hold it for as long as you can, whether it be 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 3 minutes. And you can do several sets of this. You can do sets of just a minute. Another variation on that plank, you can move up to a side plank here, and you're going to be working the external, or your obliques here, and this all is going to work your core, that strength that helps you do everything. That core is like a girdle. It's going to help your back. If you have lower back problems, it's going to help strengthen that area. So just those are some different ways that you can strengthen your core and your abs. All right.